What's up you guys, I'm Dan, this is Frugal Not Cheap, and today we'll answer the question, do you need a six-figure job to become a millionaire? So this video is coming about because I was actually chatting with a friend of mine about financial independence and kind of just going over how one can work towards that and how he might do that himself. And he shared with me that he was shocked that I'd never made an income of over $100,000 a year, and yet I was able to make substantial progress towards financial freedom. That's right, even now my base salary is still under six figures. And so he and I went through my earnings history, my investing history, and of course my spending as well, in order to show him how the progress I'd made was achievable. Rather than look at my specific history, what we'll do in today's video is kind of take an example that's a little bit more, I don't know, just something more average, so it'll be a lot more relatable, and then of course you'll be able to tweak those factors, make any adjustments to the calculations to fit your individual situation. So the goal is to build a reasonable scenario and show how we can build a $1 million portfolio with an income of well under $100,000 a year. Now for this example, we'll use a single person, but of course keep in mind that were we to want to have a family situation, then we could just assume that we'd have a dual income and that the other spouse's income would pay for things like childcare and then later on education, even including things like saving for their college expenses. In fact, that's very much the way that I grew up. I grew up in a dual income household as well. We'll also use someone that's earned a bachelor's degree to make this more broadly applicable. Now, of course, college graduate salaries will vary a lot depending on the major, but we'll use just kind of a broad average. And really just having a degree, regardless of the major, makes a big difference compared to having just a high school diploma. According to Bankrate.com, the average or median salary for a college graduate right now is $55,000. Now, to keep everything simple in all the calculations we'll do today, we'll do them in real terms. That means they'll be inflation adjusted rather than in nominal terms, because then we'll just have to keep talking about, oh, but if we adjust for inflation, right? So we'll just take that all out of the equation, keep things in real terms. It'll be much simpler. In fact, to make things even more simple and to make them even more conservative, we'll use an even $50,000 for the income rather than the $55,000 average. The standard deduction of $12,550 cuts our taxable income to $37,450, and taking out our share of health insurance, which will be about $2,085, leaves us with $35,365 a year. Now, of course, we've got to pay the tax man, so we pay 10% taxes on our first $9,950. So that'll be $950 in taxes. Then the next tax bracket is the 12% bracket. So any income above our first $9,950 up to $40,525 will be taxed at 12%. So for us, that's $3,050. Our total tax bill then is $4,045, which leaves us with just under $44,000 after health insurance and taxes. So of course, the biggest expense that we'll have is going to be our housing expense. If we're going to focus on cutting expenses, I always say a great place to look is first at housing and then transportation, as these are the two major categories. According to Business Insider, the average rent among 15 major US cities, so we're not talking about small towns here, just cities are where there are a lot more jobs, so I wanted this example to be a lot more relatable or realistic. And the average rent is just over $1,200 at $1,216 a month. That's going to be $14,592 a year. Many videos ago, I can't even remember which video we did it in, we built a budget actually with an even lower salary of I think around $36,000. We were using sort of the median US salary at that time. There's been some inflation, so thankfully that's translated to some wage inflation as well, although I'm not really sure that that's kept up with really the cost of living very much. In any case, that is helpful because we can use a lot of those, we can use that template as a template for today as well. So I put in our rent expense, updated that, and then the non-rent expenses that we have in the template are $15,225 a year. This includes a car loan, insurance, maintenance and service on the vehicle, includes groceries, all of our utilities, restaurants, clothing, and entertainment. And there are a bunch of blank lines in there where you could add in any expenses that are unique to your situation as well. You can download this spreadsheet at a link that's provided in the description for this video. One thing to point out as well, so a couple of big things. So on the income side, hopefully we will get some raises that are above and beyond the rate of inflation. I'm not going to include that in today's calculations. Again, we're being very conservative. We've also started the initial income $5,000 lower than the $55,000 average. And on the expense side, we are going to get our car loan paid off, right? Car loans are getting kind of ridiculously long now. There's a lot of like 8-year loans out there. But anyway, so let's assume our guy or gal has a a 5-year car loan. After these 5 years, the vehicle will be paid off, and then they'll be able to divert that expense, those funds, over to saving for a new car, so they can not take a car loan out next time. Unless, of course, interest rates are very low, then it would make sense to do it. But then also towards other things that they might want to do. Maybe they want to increase discretionary spending a little bit, or they want to increase their saving and investing a little bit as well, or some mix of all three. Anyway, so taking out our total spending, the rent plus the other $15,000 on non-rent expenses, we're left with just over $14,000 a year in order to invest towards our future. After, of course, we build up an emergency fund of between 3 and 6 months of our expenses. So, how much time do we have here? Well, the average full-time student that began college at the age of 18 graduates at the age of 23. So we'll use that as a starting age, and investing our $14,000, we'll assume an inflation-adjusted return of 7% on average. This $14,000 a year investment would make us millionaires before the age of 50. And again, there are many ways that this budget, this whole scenario, is relatively conservative. So building $1 million portfolio without making a 6-figure salary is entirely doable. And you can also see how powerful compounding really is when you start looking at the projected portfolio balances later on the line as we get closer to the traditional retirement age of 65. In fact, in our scenario here, we'd have nearly $3.5 million by that traditional retirement age. Of course, what we could also do is retire much earlier. With our annual expenses of $30,000, we need a portfolio of $750,000 at a 4% withdrawal rate. This is a classic 4% rule. Or $1 million at a very conservative 3% withdrawal rate. So very, very safe at that stage. And again, we could achieve that by before the age of 50. So hopefully you find this encouraging. I certainly do. If you liked today's video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.